Welcome to the Think Holistic Podcast by Indy Holistic Hub, a show designed to help you on your wellness journey. When you think holistic, you live holistic. Find out more at indyholistichub.com. Now, here's your host, Jenn Seffrin.
Hello, everyone. It is a great day to think holistic, and I'm super excited, and I just bask in the love that I have for this person with me today. I'm so honored to have Audrey Barron here to have a meaningful conversation with us, to share a bit about her story and her journey and what she does to spread holistic love and inspiring holistic living and lifestyle for our community. She is GAIA CHEF. She is the farmer and forager and herbalist and lovey-loo of Wild Moon Acres. So, Audrey, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm so happy right now.
I'm so happy to be here, Jen. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, most definitely. Thanks for saying yes. I want to acknowledge and say what an inspiration you've been to me. It makes me emotional. So we met in our previous work lives before we ventured off and took leaps of faith in the world. And we met at an HR peer group and realized we had some like-mindedness about us. And I will just always remember you saying you were leaving your job to go do this work in the world. And at the time, it was massage therapy and abdominal therapy. And I just remember inside of myself being like, I want to leave my job too. I want to go do my own thing. And so, I eventually did that as well. And I'm telling you, it's imprinted in me. I will never forget that inside of me. That's like, I want to do that too. So congrats for doing that. Thank you for doing that and for being an inspiration.
Well, it's my pleasure. I specifically remember in that room, that peer group room, and like you were the vibrant, you were this vibrant, sparkly person. And I was just like, what is she doing here? Like she like, it was almost like you didn't belong in that like stale gray room, and I hope that you saw the same in me, and we were both like already vibrating at this other level. Like we were kind of vibrating our way out of that corporate world. And I can say I was inspired by other people before me that left too. So it's my pleasure to have like given you that like, I want to do it too, because it happened to me too. I saw other people doing it and it kind of gave me like, oh yeah, people leave this world. It can happen.
Totally. Yes. So know that people listening in, I was reflecting on this yesterday and I had that feeling inside of me. Like, I don't belong here. Like, I don't have anything to offer here. So at any rate, that's wow. It's
we did it and now we're here. We're here now and we can look back and what a story.
Right. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So we have, gosh, it's crazy to think about the years that have gone by. I want to start with you sharing with people what propelled you to say, I'm leaving my job. What propelled you on your holistic path and becoming a holistic practitioner and educator?
Yeah, it's a long story. So I'm going to do my best to keep it brief. Basically, it was my own desire to feel better. I basically, from the time I can remember, I really felt like I had a health challenge. Like I was always just not feeling great. And by the time I got into college, I remember just kind of my health just like plummeting down and I couldn't figure out what it was. And it was just this desire to feel better, and this was in the early 2000s when I don't even think Google was a thing, and so it was like, when I say searching, it was a different type of searching. It's not like you could just get on the internet and like, and so that's really what propelled me. And meanwhile, there was always this desire to be a massage therapist. That had always been in the back of my mind from the first time I ever had a massage. I remember thinking, gosh, I wonder what it's like for this person to instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I love how good it feels. It was like, I wonder what this other person, what their life is like.
Wow.
And that stuck with me. And when my grandmother was in a nursing home, I would visit her and massage her feet and her hands and just make her feel so good. And I just remember thinking that everyone should have this, you know, especially the elderly. And so it propelled me to go to massage school while I was still in corporate America. I could do that at night. And so for a full year, I was, you know, working all day and then going to massage school at night. I graduated and started a practice that I would, you know, go to after work. I didn't have kids at the time. So, and then, so that really kind of opened me up to the holistic world. You know, when you go into massage therapy, my school was amazing. So we were introduced to traditional Chinese medicine, to Ayurvedic massage or Ayurvedic medicine, all different types of massage, all different types of holistic modalities. So my world was broke open. I knew there was more. And so I was just kind of like making little steps. I would be the person that had all the essential oils and the herbs in my cubicle, and people would come to me for things. People would come to me for like, I remember there were a few people that asked me to make a meal plan for them, just because I was living this way. And so they came to me for those things. And then I was on an internet search and found this raw food school online. And like, have you ever had that moment where like lightning just goes, you know? And it was like, there wasn't an option for me not to go. It was kind of that strong of a feeling. And so that was in California. I made, you know, and the only way for me to do that was to quit my job. I couldn't do both because it was an extensive period of time. And so we made that shift. My husband and I, you know, kind of decided, you know, I just have a very supportive, wonderful husband by my side. And
That's
he was
awesome.
like, okay, you know, like, I mean, I think that's a big part of it too, is having the support of people around you. Not that you can't do it without that, but it does make it easier. So, and then I came back, and my desire was to share this information. So the school that I went to, it was not just about chefing. It was really about making food that is all around helping people feel better, and for deep healing. And so the food that we're creating, you know, in this school was to help people heal and to be vibrant and healthy. And I wanted to share it because I was experiencing it. Meanwhile, my health was getting better and better and better. I was feeling better. I had more energy. I just never knew I could feel this good. And, you know, if you've ever been there, you want to share that with people. So I began teaching at health food stores. At the time, Whole Foods was a much more community-minded place, and they would bring in teachers and have classes. And so that just, you know, I was just doing all those things. And the number one, so I taught for 6 years. I was personal chefing. I was doing massage therapy. I ended up getting into Maya abdominal therapy, as you mentioned, because again, of my own journey. I was having issues with, I hadn't had a period for 3 years. I was told I was infertile. And a friend of mine told me about my abdominal therapist, and I went, and it was life-changing. And that person, that my abdominal therapist, is now a dear friend of mine, and she was nudging me, you should become a my abdominal therapist. We need more of them. You're already a massage therapist. You know, I can feel this is a path for you. So I was doing all these things, you know, it was just like, it sounds like a lot, but I was allowing myself to be led where it felt right. You know, it was a beautiful time. And so I was doing massage therapy, my abdominal therapy, I was chefing, all these things. And it was kind of like this holistic business. And I was working at a place in Broad Ripple. You know, at the time it went through many iterations, but at the time it was the Playful Soul, run by our mutual friend, Vicki Mack. And there was a little small garage next door, and we would joke about me opening a restaurant there, or a little cafe. And one day I went out, I asked the landlord for the keys, and just to go in and just for fun. And I went in there by myself, and I sat down, and I just closed my eyes. And I'm not kidding you, I could feel, it was like the cafe was already there. And I could feel I could feel the people. I could feel the energy of the people. I could see how it was laid out. it was like the moment I stepped in, like that place was always meant to be Ezra's for at least that period of time, right? It was always meant to bring forth Ezra's. It was waiting on me to kind of unlock it. That's how I feel about it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I stepped into that garage, it was just like it just went like, and it was like, so, then it just, I literally, you know, people talk about, I sketched it on a napkin. I sketched it on it was a small piece of paper or a napkin or something. And I was just sketching things out. And at the time, Ezra, my son, was, I mean, one, you know, not even one. No, he was like a baby. And then it happened, you know, I just took the steps to get it open. And so Ezra's Cafe had a beautiful 7.5-year run.
Yes, it sure did. You just closed the doors recently. So
we did. Yeah, we closed in April. So we're coming up on a year that it's been closed.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I'm telling you, time is such an interesting construct. I would have said it hadn't been a year yet. So at any rate, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. In 7.5 years, I mean, I know it's such an undertaking to run a cafe like that. And you poured your heart into it, and you've done all these things. You've been a learner. You've been like, okay, I'm going to learn about this, and here I'm going here, now I'm going there, and now you're going other places, which we'll talk about too. So how have you been able to really go with that ebb and the flow that you've been describing and the nudges?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I don't always consider myself someone with abundant energy that never ends. You know what I mean? When you think of people that are just doers, I feel like it's my dedication to self-care and my dedication to wellness for myself. Without that, there's absolutely no way that I could do everything that I've done and that I'm doing and will do in the future. It is a dedication to my temple, you know, to my body, to my spirit. Not that it's always perfect by any means. It's not like I'm some like person who wakes up every day and does the perfect routine every day. That's not the thing. It's just always finding your way back there, you know? So yeah, I mean, during Ezra's, you know, I also had another child. So now I've got 2 children. And so like that was in the mix too. Like, you know, doing Ezra's Cafe with 2 children and a husband with his whole other business, working full time.
Yeah.
And then starting a farm, which we didn't even mention. So I think, so it's that. And then it's also being in alignment with what is true and with my heart, you know? So even though it was difficult, running a restaurant is probably one of the most difficult,
I would imagine,
you know, never ending entrepreneur, you know, ways to like make a living. There's harder things, of course, but I mean, it is pretty taxing. And so it was because I was in alignment with what I was doing, because we were helping people, because it was heart led. You know, I think that's a big thing too. If you're doing something just for the money, or just because you think you're supposed to, or whatever it is, or because you haven't been able to find the bravery to step out of, you know, the thing that's just making you money, but it's not heart led, you know, you probably will eventually lose steam. So it's just about, I feel like I've just been leading with my heart and paying attention to what's working for my body, and my family.
Yes. And knowing then that can serve, right? When that's in place and vibrating and full of life, then you can serve in whatever the ways are that are being presented to you. So I know you weren't exactly expecting, right? Like when we expect things in life, that's funny, haha. You know, you weren't necessarily expecting to be closing the doors of Ezra's, and here you are, you're in a new phase. You opened the farm at the time, and the farm, I mean, there's just amazing things you did with the farm, and, you know, using your scrap foods to you know, compost, and like, you're just so sustainably minded. I love that. So you have the farm, Wild Moon Acres. You've developed out programs that you offer as well. So tell us where you're at now and what's on the horizon.
Yeah. So we started the farm in 2016, and our intention was to grow food for Ezra's Cafe, which is what we did. Meanwhile, I'm also an herbalist. My deep, deep love is herbalism, herbs, and the absolute magic that can come from the medicinals of the world, the medicinal plants. So we've been growing medicinal herbs there for years, as kind of just a thing that I love to do. And when we closed the restaurant, it was a very easy and natural shift from growing food for a restaurant to growing medicinal herbs. And so that's where my focus is. We do definitely grow vegetables for our family there. And who knows, we might grow non-herbals for the community too. I'm not sure, but our main focus is medicinal herbs. So that's where we're going with that. And yeah, so during those years, we did some structural build outs. So we have a beautiful outdoor kitchen right near the farm, which is also, and we call it a kitchen. It's more of a teaching space. It is plumbed with water and electricity and stuff. So it's our teaching space. It's where we gather. We have what we call our yoga deck, which is like this beautiful deck in the woods where we, for various workshops and things, we've gathered there and had ceremonies or group discussions, things like that. This past year, 2022, we had our first workshops that I collaborated with other people. It was really beautiful. We had a workshop called Yoga and Yarrow, which we're going to do again this year.
Yes.
My friend Naomi taught the yoga. And so we had this beautiful yoga class on the deck surrounded by, the woods. And then we did a whole workshop on yarrow and made medicines, and we had lunch. It was beautiful. So that's where we're going is growing the herbs and bringing community together and teaching, having workshops and classes. I want to bring in other teachers and make it a place of just of absolute, like, let's come and learn what it is to be humans again, like connecting with the earth, feeling our spirit, getting that earth energy that we need, and also the community energy that we need, especially post 2020. I mean, oh my gosh, so many people I've talked to, myself included, are just yearning for that one-on-one connection. Yes.
And the people out there that don't quite realize that's what they're yearning for. So it's like, how can we encourage that and provide that and have that meaningful, supportive space, like human connectivity and honoring each other as human beings. And I love, and this is in your words, that your mission is through your workshops and your online programs. It's there to help humans remember how to deeply nourish themselves and awaken the body, mind, soul, earth connection. I love that. I love that. Yeah. I look so forward to coming back to the farm because it's been quite some time, and being in community with you and all the classes and things that you are offering. So we're in a new year. So what's coming up next in 2023 in terms of what you're offering?
Okay. So a few big things. A little bit back to Ezra's. I'm actually writing the Ezra's Cafe recipe book.
Yay!
So that's a big thing for me right now. And it's like the last, like birth push, if you will. Like, we've done a lot of laboring and now we're kind of in the last steps of it. And so I'm hoping that comes out in spring, if not early summer, we'll see.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. And then as far as at Wild Moon Acres, we have our first series. So we have a spring seasonal herbalism series coming up. I'm very excited about. So that is one 4-hour workshop in March, one in April, one in May. And they're all going to build upon each other. Awesome. And we will be focusing on the herbs of spring, as well as the kidney, liver, and lymphatic system, and how they all work together. How those herbs really have an affinity for those systems in the body. So our students will be out there in it. They're going to be digging the roots. They're going to be learning the plants. They will come away. There will be no question on how they're going to identify these plants ever again. This is going to be a type of immersion where you learn it like deep in your bones kind of thing. That's what I want for the people who come. So they will
Awesome.
be, they'll be smelling it, they'll be tasting it, they'll be feeling it, they'll be harvesting it, foraging. Then we'll take it into the workshop and make medicines and do it all together. So
It's
so that's
obviously in person.
yeah. And we're going to do yoga and yarrow again. We're also going to do my elderberry workshop, which I did for the first time last year, which was so fun. We have basically an elderberry forest at our farm. So people can come and we harvest our own elderberries. Everybody gets to harvest massive amounts of elderberries. And then we we come back into the kitchen and we make medicines with those. And we commune together. That was, oh my gosh, that was one of my most favorite things we did last year. Just the moment, it was all women. It just happened to be all women. The moment everyone sat down with the elderberry and they had to kind of just very gently pick the elderberries off, the conversations that happened and the connections that I was hearing was just like music to my ears. Just seeing these women, most of them didn't know each other before they sat down, and they're just sharing like intimate things about their lives and its struggles. And it's just like, oh my gosh, isn't that what we do? Especially as women. My workshops are for everybody, but especially as women, my goodness, we do that. We listen to each other, we share, and it's just such a beautiful thing. So
it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So we're doing that workshop, and we're doing who knows what else. We have some other things that we might be offering along the way too. But and then I must mention our volunteer days as well. So we've done that since the beginning, and they've gotten even more robust since closing the restaurant, which is been so fun. I didn't know how that was going to be, but people want it. The people want to, I think people want to learn because they want to do it for themselves. They want to learn about growing food. They want to learn about urban farming and things like that, because so many people want to have told us they're looking for land. And I love that. People are wanting to get back to the land. They want to grow some of their own food. They want to maybe, have chickens or goats or whatever. And I think that's a beautiful direction for humanity.
Yes, it is.
And so I'm just grateful to be one of the many small inspirations for people in that way.
So encouraging. And actually, I'm not surprised that that's happened. We're getting more people coming in to volunteer. I think that is a testament to what they experienced through getting to know you through the cafe. You've served so many people on their healing journeys through the cafe. I know you've got stories upon stories and an outpouring of love that came to you, when people heard you were closing the cafe. So
that's a whole nother story. Yeah, that was a beautiful, unexpected. I knew that there would be definitely, some love coming, but like the sheer amount of, I'd never experienced anything like it.
Oh.
So that we announced, I remember we announced closing at like 10 a.m. And we close at 3. And between announcing closing at 10, we had the biggest sales day on record.
Wow.
That day. So between 10 and 3.
Wow.
On a weekday, I think, or I actually, I don't remember, but so, and then it was like that for the next, however long it was, like a week or so that we were open, and it was just record sales after record sales.
Oh my goodness.
And, I was working in the kitchen, and so many times I would feel this bubbling up of emotion. I just put my hat down so as not to like cry, in the kitchen. And just like, I just remember soaking in, just hearing people talk and have conversations, and the sound of the bustling of the restaurant.
Yeah.
And then that last day was just so immensely, unbelievably beautiful. It was so busy. We didn't even, it's just hard to even fathom how we did what we did. My 9-year-old son came in and we couldn't have done it without him. He was like washing kale and stuff like that. We were just like washing kale as fast as we could to get Buddha bowls out the door.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So there was a woman that flew in from Texas. She pulled me aside. She said, I flew in for your last day from Texas. And I just she cried and I cried, and I'd never met her before.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful connection. And
yeah.
wow.
And so I just, all that to say, I guess, because I'm really here to serve those who are listening, is that, you know, if you're listening and you are you so deeply in your soul want to do this thing, follow that thread, because when you follow that thread, you will serve people beyond your wildest dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I did. I just did the thing that my heart wanted to do, and I did it to the best of my ability. Every day, you wake up every day and you do it even when it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's going to last forever. You know, it was 7.5 years, but I did it, and it made an impact on people, and everyone can do that in one version or another.
Yes, indeed.
You know,
and what a great example of, and I say this, and I will continue to, primarily to remind myself, our ripple effect is beyond our imagination and knowingness. And so, gosh, and look at that, someone from Texas, like, it's amazing. You deserve all that outpouring of love and just all the blessings that are in store for you and your family as the journey continues onward. I know we love to end our show with some think holistic tips that our people listening in can take and harness for themselves and continue taking their steps, because it is that, it's continuing to take the steps each day. It's not about being perfect and doing all the things at one time. So share with us your tips, Audrey.
Okay. First, before I start the tips, I just want to say, I heard this great quote. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was on the Paul Chek podcast. And he said, "We are what we tolerate." And then he went on to talk about that. And I was just like, oh, I was really soaked that in. We are what we tolerate. So, and you can take that as far as, you know, what we tolerate from other people, but also what we tolerate just in general life. Right? Are we going to tolerate the going to bed late every day, even when we know we should go to bed earlier so we can get up earlier? Or are we going to finally make that step? You know, those kind of things. So we are what we tolerate. So my first one is removing overly processed food and especially seed oils from your life. So this one is a very tangible one. It's never going to add value to eat processed food. That's going to always be, you know, above vibrant, fresh food. So looking honestly at your kitchen cabinets, looking honestly at your daily foods that you're eating and you're feeding your family, and saying, is this for the highest and best for my life? And then getting a little deeper and saying, why am I continuing to eat that? And just be honest. Write it down, say it to yourself, whatever it is, and really get real. And I feel like when we write it down, we take the moment to just get honest, because if this is something that's like a thing for you, it is for so many people, what they eat, and they're just like, oh, how do I get out of this cycle? It can help to break the cycle by sitting for a moment, writing it down, and just taking the time to focus on the why. Why am I doing this? It will often take us to an emotional attachment, right? Something going on emotional, some maybe a trauma, emotion, whatever it is that is attaching us to this pattern. So getting real about that is the first part about it. And then you can, then hopefully that unlocks something to make the change.
Yeah, I love the writing it down and the why. Like as soon as you said that, I thought, ooh, that's an important part. Like to really understand and to take it to another level.
Yes, it's so important. It's important to ask ourselves these questions on a regular basis. And then the seed oils part. So seed oils, I'm not going to go into it, but I mean, do your own research into seed oils, why they are. It's a big topic coming up now. They've been introduced into our world probably starting in the 50s or 60s. So I'm talking soy oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, even those, and corn oil. Okay. Those are pretty much always going to be genetically modified. They're going to be highly sprayed, and they're just not fit for human consumption, but they're in so much of our food. Why? Because they're cheap.
Okay.
Right. And so the companies are always going to choose the cheaper option because that means their profits are bigger. So we always need to remember that the companies are never in it for our health. They're in it to make a profit. So we need to get on the front end of that. Right. And say, are we going to tolerate? We are what we tolerate. Are we going to tolerate being taken advantage of by this company? Or are we going to say, no, thank you. That's not for me. Not in my kitchen.
Yeah. And when you're cooking at home, there's other options.
Organic olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oils. You could do beautiful, lard or tallow, whatever, wherever you're at, in your journey on there.
Thank you.
Okay. Second is connecting to the sun, and that directly connects to the seed oils. So I'm going to say why. So we need the sun. We've been told forever that the sun is, the enemy and it causes skin cancer. Well, why weren't our ancestors getting skin cancer like crazy? They're outside all the time, right? Why wasn't that a thing? The reason why it's a thing now is because of the chemicals we're tolerating in our body and on our body. Seed oils being one. If we take in a lot of seed oils, it's been shown that creates an unfavorable reaction to the sun. Those oils get into our body. Think about it. We have oil. Our skin is oily, right? Like there's oils on our skin. And so we are what we eat. So if we're eating the seed oils, then those seed oils are merging with our body and they act unfavorably to the sun. Okay. So they're connected. In general, we need that sunlight. We need it in our eyes. You don't want to stare at the sun in the middle of the day, but we, when the sun is coming up and when it's going down, when it's close to the horizon, kind of gazing at or close to the sun gets that nourish. It's literally a vitamin. Okay. It's vitamin D just going right into your eyeballs, getting it on your sun, getting that. Even in the wintertime, it's not as easy to get, but getting outside, allowing your face to just go towards even if it's cloudy. Just look it up. I mean, it's proven time after time. It's just a very, very much a human need. So get yourself acclimated to the sun. While you're at it, get the seed oils out of your body. That's one thing I do. I get, especially spring through fall when it's not winter, I'm outside in the sun, purposely laying in the sun for at least 15 minutes up to 30 minutes a day. I make that time for myself.
Wow.
It has made a huge difference in my life and my health.
Okay. That might be one of my goals coming up when it's a little warmer out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I very much have to be the person who reminds myself because I so don't like to be cold. And you put whatever you need to put on to be able to be outside for even a little bit and just, when that sun's even peeking through the clouds, just catching it. Even if it's not for the 30 minutes, it's meaningful to take some time to do that.
Absolutely.
And in doing that, you're connecting with self within and your body, and just the whole connection comes together. And
well, that's the beautiful part about it, is it's intertwined with so many other things. You're outside, you're getting fresh air, you're taking that time for yourself. You're probably, get off your phone while you're doing it. So,
definitely,
read a book, listen to a podcast, sit in silence, whatever it is. You can wrap so much in that 15 to 30 minutes, you could even do some exercises and get a few things done at once. I mean, whatever it is, but
totally
get it in there. And then that rolls into my third, which is moving your body every single day.
Movement.
So
yes.
We have to, okay. We just have to, it's tied to, we know this, it's not like a new thing, but beyond just keeping weight down, which is it's like the focus, I feel like when you're watching mainstream news or something, the next thing to help us lose weight. Well, that's like a tiny piece of it. What about being strong? What about our mental health that comes along with moving? We're in a mental health crisis, right? In this country right now, I think in the world. And we're moving less than ever. We need to get out and we need to move our bodies. It literally directly correlates with mental health It helps get our lymphatic system moving, which helps keep toxins flowing out of the body. And then obviously there's all the physical, benefits that come along with it. Strength. Yes, it does help with your metabolism and all that. Meanwhile, you're getting some sunlight, fresh air, all the things. So, and in the wintertime, I mean, when we had that really cold snap, we're both in Indiana, on break. And it was like, Sam and I were still getting out, my husband, and walking every day. We got so many clothes on, layered up, and we walked no matter what. And you know how good that felt? That cold, crisp air flowing into the lungs. And then coming back in the house, and you're all warm and toasty, and you take everything off and you've moved your body. It's like I said, it's honoring the temple. Yeah.
And I've felt that too. Like, I tell myself in my head, like, I don't like to be cold. And I'm like, you need to be done with that. I went for a walk the one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, just the crisp air and just feeling it. And it just was exhilarating. And so good for you all for being committed and going out in that cold, cold weather. Whoa.
Yeah, it feels good. And we're being an example for our kids. Our kids are like, oh, mom and dad are going on their walk again, and it's like, I want them to remember that. I want them to see that.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
And then I've got one more. I'm going to sneak one more in there because I just
go for it. Give us another one.
Kind of ties it all in together. So tying it back to what I said in the beginning, really reflecting on how you are stuck in patterns that don't serve you and getting really honest. So it can go beyond the food. I mentioned it with the food, but taking a moment, and it's great because right now we're in January. I'm not sure when this comes out, but we're at the beginning of the year. And so it's a natural time for us to really look at old habits, and it's a great time. It's never been a better time in the world to get really honest about how we're living our lives. Remember, we are what we tolerate. So what are we tolerating from ourselves every day? How are we living our lives? How are we waking up? What foods are we eating? How are we moving our body? How are we speaking? How are we communicating? What are we tolerating from our work life, our relationships, and all of that? But getting into the patterns is really important, like really writing it down and saying, what are the patterns that are getting me, that are kind of getting me stuck in life? And allowing yourself to go there, be honest. Well, it's this thing that I do. It's probably all the time I spend on Instagram, and I get in there, or I'll go and sit in the bathtub, and instead of like taking 20-minute bath, I take an hour and a half bath because I'm on my phone. And that's less time for reading and working out and cleaning the house, or, you've got to get real with your patterns so that you can make change. If you don't get real, you'll always kind of make those excuses and say, well, I don't have time, or I don't have this, but we all can make time. You just have to prioritize it.
Yeah. How are we utilizing it, moving within it?
Yeah.
And I love that question so much, of like, what am I tolerating? And by answering that multiple times with the multiple things you're tolerating, then you're discovering, well, there's a pattern there. If you're tolerating something, there's some sort of pattern there. So
exactly.
You can write it down. You can be safe with it. Write it down. Keep it to yourself, and until you're ready to allow some other support. And if you're needing it, if you can do it on your own, awesome. If you need support, then you can start to think about, how do I allow support to come in so that I'm not tolerating this anymore? What do I need to do? What can I go learn that could support something different? So, and there's lots of things that potentially could be there to support someone in changing those patterns. So, thus holistic health and living, and why I love supporting the holistic community and the various modalities, therapies, products and services out there to support that in people's lives. So I so much love talking to you. I look forward to, seeing what is in store for us this year. We could talk forever. So
I do want to say, just also, Jenn, for you, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I also have been blessed to watch you on your journey. And I remember the day you called me about Indy Holistic Hub.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was in the car. I was getting ready to go in and buy some equipment for the restaurant. We were both kind of starting this around the same time. And you told me about it. And and I was so excited for you. And I've watched you grow and watched you serve the community in so many beautiful ways. And I just want to honor you as well and say thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a beacon for our community and the ripples that you've put into the pond.
Continue to ripple together, be in community, and support each other. That's what this year is all about.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sister.
Appreciate you. Thank you for being a support from the very beginning. Oh my goodness, means a lot. I want to encourage people to follow you, to know about your events and offerings, so they can follow you on Instagram and Facebook. You can follow her at GAIA CHEF, and also the farm you can follow at wild.moon.acres. And then in terms of your website, what website shall they check out to follow your events and happenings?
So there's, for me, GaiaChef.com. And then for the farm, wildmoonacres.love.
Oh, yes.
Yay.
I love the .love. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also in the description on the podcast or YouTube, wherever it is you're tuning into this, you will also find links to follow Audrey, more about her, and also to follow Indy Holistic Hub, to utilize our online directory and community calendar to find beautiful people like Audrey and her offerings. So go to indyholistichub.com for that. We are also on Instagram and Facebook. So we look forward to having you following us, being part of our community, and just sending so much love and inspiration out to everybody. And just think about, what are you tolerating through the rest of your day, and take a deeper look.
Thank you for listening to the Think Holistic podcast by Indy Holistic Hub, a show designed to help you on your wellness journey. When you think holistic, you live holistic. To find holistic professionals near you, go to indyholistichub.com.